Discord link will be in the description down below where you can see these cards for yourself. By the time that the video goes up, this section will be unlocked. All you have to do is click on the link, go to card database and pre-alpha SDIF, and you will be able to see all the cards and their information before the editing and before playtesting. Alright, so this is the Tamen TCG card profiling in the pre-alpha stage, meaning that this is for people who are going to help me playtest the deck. Even if you are not going to playtest the deck, you can still look. Just know that you don't have to pay as much attention because these cards are due to change in subject, and this is the second take, and I have seen a few little, not mistypes, but a few little things that I wanted to change, so that's what this video is for. There will be an official profiling after playtesting, which will not occur for like, I'd say about a month or two. So I'm going to get into it now. The first card for this deck is Firesprite. She is an Infernus 2 creature. That means that she needs 2 spaces on the board to be summoned. She is a humanoid Fey elemental species. Species is something that I will get into on another video as to why that is so important. Her battle stats are she has strike 15, which is that her attack, guard 10, which that's her defense, and range 2, which is how many spaces she can target on the board. Her stance abilities are she has 3, which is A, B, and G. When she is in the A stance, you can tap the card, and when you do that, she does 10 Infernus damage to rivals in range. While in the B stance ability, you can tap the card, she targets a rival, and you can remove gear from that target if they have any. And then for the G stance, you can tap the card, and you can guard gain 5 for ally Infernus, meaning that any other fire creatures you have on the field will gain 5 extra guard. It's just a basic defense support. While an Infernus event, this is her main ability. Her main ability is something that can activate no matter where she is on the board, as long as she's in the stance spaces. While Infernus event is active once per turn, Infernus gear fetch 1. So when there's an Infernus event that you have active, you are able to search your deck for a gear card that is specifically the Infernus type. When you do fetch abilities, because this is like a whole thing, basically you go into the deck, you pick the exact card you want, and then you shuffle the deck afterwards. That's how it works. I may change this, but because this is kind of a powerful ability to just search any cards you want, but I think because of what's in this deck and because there's not much else going on in terms of the game, it's okay. Although I do want to probably keep it in check for future updates or future releases, but I'll keep it as it is for now. Let people have fun with the ability. I'm gonna eat those words later, I know it. Alright, the second creature is Shertan. Shertan is an Infernus 2 creature, meaning that it also needs 2 spaces on the board to be summoned. It is a beast bovid species. Bovid being anything that looks like a bull, a cow, or an ox, or a goat, which is what it is. Its stance. No, I'm not there yet. Its battle stats are strike 25, guard 20, and range 2. Now, for a size 2 creature, I think it is pretty strong, so I think I'm going to lower it down to 15, maybe even 10. But its guard is okay because it is a defensive card. It only has the 1 stance ability, and that is in the B stance. When you tap it, you can target a rival and disgear that target. And its main ability is while it is tapped, it gains 30 guard to its already 20 guard, so that's 30, 40, 50. And then it does 10 Infernus damage to a striking rival. So anything that attacks it while it is tapped will take 10 elemental damage. Now for the guard gain 30 ability, even if your opponent deals damage to this card, it still keeps the 30 plus guard. So let's say that it's down from 20 to 10. Well, now it's instead of being 50, it's 40, and then so on and so forth. So just pay attention to where this is currently, and that's where where that will be. Oof, I'm really running my throat through the ringer here. My jaw hurts, but I'm gonna get through this. In the third card of the creature portion is Infernus Wyvern. It is my brain is also going through the ringer. It is an Infernus 2 creature, meaning that it takes 2 spaces to be summoned on the board. What was that popping noise? It is a Beast Wyvern species creature. Its battle stats are Strike 25, Guard 20, and Range 3. I think this guy took this guy's stats, so that may be why that is why it is. But I will change his stats to be a little bit lower. Um, It only has the one stance ability, which is the A stance, and when you tap it, it does 10 Infernus damage to rivals in range. This will be a ongoing theme for this entire deck, because what I wanted to do was focus this deck on beat down and burn damage, basically. This is for really aggressive players, or really aggressive strategy. Um, it has the ability of Shift 3, which means that it can move across the board 3 times. Um, Yeah, it can move different spaces on the board 3 times, so you want to have this creature have as much open space as possible. Um, it has a strike gain of 5 each shift this turn, so oh my goodness. So every time you move the creature to another space, it gains an extra 5 points, but it's only for that turn. At the end of the turn, its original points are returned to what it is. So let's see, 5, 10, 15, 15 plus 25, that's 5 and 5 is 10, 20, 30, 40, that's 40. I hope my math is correct. Yeah, that's 40. And then at the end of the turn, it goes back to 25. Now, the fourth creature in the entry is Volcano Golem. Volcano Golem is an Infernus 3 creature, meaning it takes 3 spaces on the board to be summoned. It has a strike of 35, a guard of 60, and a range of 2. It has 2 stance abilities, B and G. Its B stance is tap 2, meaning you tap it for 2 turns. It has a guard loss of 20, but a strike gain of 20. So you take out its guard and put it into its strike, and basically what this card is a glass cannon. Once you power it up enough, you can pretty much deal as much damage as you may like, and but its defense will lower each time, and yeah, that's what a glass. Did I say glass cannon? Yeah, glass. It's a glass cannon. Pretty much means it's good for attacking, but when it gets hit pretty hard. So it can be for defensive purposes, but once you start using it for for its G stance ability, then it becomes that one hit wonder. Um, but it does have the main ability of guard gain 10 each turn, and Infernus event is active, so that you can slowly regain the defense you have, so you can keep going on through the plays of powering up the creature. I would like to see how that works out during play, so that'll be interesting to see. He's actually becoming one of my more favorite ones to try just because of that. Now the fifth creature, my bad, in the fifth creature in the entry is Infernus Stroco. Now he is a Infernus 4 creature, meaning that he takes 4 spaces to be summoned on the field. He is a big boy. Um, he has the strike of 65, a guard of 55, and a range of 2. He has 2 stances, which is the A and G. His A stance is that when he is tapped, you can target a rival, disgear that rival, and deal 10 Infernus damage to that rival. Now, in the G stance, when you tap him, you can retreat him, send him to the roster, and ally Infernus strike and guard gain 10 for 2 turns. So any Infernus creature you summon or that is on the field gets an extra 10 guard and strike for 2 turns each time you use this ability. Excuse me. Um, for its main ability, when you summon it to the field, it does 20 Infernus damage to rivals in range. So basically what that means is that it has to go from the roster to the field. That's what counts as a summon. And I say that because you are able to set creatures on the board before you have to set creatures on the board before you play the game. And that doesn't count as a summon. Because there are a lot of abilities that could be broken if I were to do that. Especially if it's like, summon. Those abilities would just be broken, so I don't want to do it that way. Oh boy. I'm really putting it out. Okay, now we are into the gear section of the deck. I don't know why my brain froze there for a second. So the first gear is Blaze Barrier. It is an Infernus type gear that is also, I mean, it's an Infernus attribute gear that is a trigger type gear. In this game, there are three gear type: trigger, equip, and generic. The generic doesn't have a type; it is just generic. It is a one-time use, and then you throw it out. Um, Trigger gears are basically, if you played Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like a trap or a quick play spell where it activates at that point, and when a certain condition is met. And then you have equip gear, which everyone knows what equip gear is. You know, you put it to a creature and you power it up, or you weaken it, or whatever. So for its ability, negate rival ability and rival damage towards the time to activate this trigger. So when your opponent has a creature try to deal damage or focus an ability on the creature that activates this card, negate it. It's just a no. And then because of that, the creature that targeted this card, if it is of size 0 to 2, that creature receives 10 Infernus damage, and then that creature is discarded at the end phase of the turn. So this emphasizes the whole burn damage and beatdown strategy of just taking creatures off the board. And then for the rival sizes 3 to 5, the much bigger creatures, it does 10 Infernus damage and it disgears rival. So basically, what this card does is actually I just said what it does. Um, but it's either going to make your opponents weaker one way or another. Is basically how I'm trying to put it. While receiving damage, while giving them damage. The second card, the second card, yes, the second card is Blazed Briquettes. Um, it is an Infernus gear that is an equip type gear, and it has the ability of guard gain 10 and strike gain 10. Now I want to kind of reword this so that it says ally Infernus guard gain 10 and strike gain 10, because this is only supposed to be used by Infernus cards, but I don't want to. But I originally wanted to make it inherent to where this only creatures that match this element could use the cards. But then I realized there's much more strategy if you just allow any creature to use any card, but just put in, like, limitations such as only Infernus ally can use this card, so that way you can put it in your deck, but you can't just let anyone use it. When you discard this card, which is what discard means, whenever a gear says discard and it doesn't say what specifically, it means the card itself. So when you discard, um, if the creature that had this card is size 0 to 2, you double the strike damage until the end phase. If the creature's size is 3 to 5, you can target the rival gear and disgear that target. Okay, yeah, okay. I thought I was seeing double for a second. But what this card basically does is it gives your weaker creatures a chance to deal some serious damage. That's basically what this card is for. Um, the third entry is Blaze Claws. Blaze Claws is an Infernus gear that is a Beast Equip type gear, meaning that only Beast creatures can use this gear. It has a strike gain of 10, and its secondary ability is strike damage for the Tamen. Strike damage of the Tamen equipped with this card becomes Infernus damage. So what this basically does is it gives your Infernus creatures that extra oomph of Infernus damage without having to use an ability, but it also gives other beast type creatures the ability to deal Infernus damage, and that's what I meant by making making it very loose so that people can make up different strategies and whatnot. So you can put this in you can have this be very unexpected and put it in like a plant type deck and deal fire damage and throw your opponent off guard for a second and be like, wait, what just happened? So I think stuff like that'll be fun. I'm going to experiment more with that. Uh, this is just there are a few more. The next card is Burst Flames. Burst Flames is an Infernus trigger card, trigger type gear. Um, the condition is when you deal Infernus damage, you deal an an additional 10 Infernus damage to rivals in range of the Tamen that triggered this card. So you want to pay attention to how much range your Tamen has, and that's how much damage, and that's how many spaces it can damage. The second part of its ability is that it does 5 Infernus damage to rivals summoned or shifted into stances in range of the Tamen that activated this trigger. So those stances not only damage the creatures that are already in them, but creatures that are summoned in them will take 5 damage. Or even if they are moved into those spaces, they will take 5 damage. So a great way to use this is that there are creatures in other decks that can force your opponent to shift around the field, and they have no control over that. And by doing that, you can deal that little extra oomph of damage. So this is also what I meant by mixing and matching cards to make unique plays. Now the final gear is Graceful Flame or Gracious Flames. I'll go with Gracious Flames. And it's basically a generic gear that is guard gain 10, and that is for any creature. It doesn't matter what element it is, but the secondary ability is the one that matters most for Infernus creatures. When this card is used while an ally Fey or Elemental is in play, strike gain 10. The ally Infernus that used this card gains strike gain 10 until the end phase. So it gets an additional 10 strike points until the turn is done. Oh boy. I got one more section to do. But basically, again, generic gear. You can use this as many times as you want, as long as you have it in your hand. But I will go over. I am so sorry for smacking. But I will go over what all that stuff can do in like another video, especially since I am like wearing myself out. Although I'm really cutting it down. I was at 30 minutes in my first take of this. Now I'm only at 16. Oh, 17. So now we are in the event section, which is all the combo extenders or the extra actions. These are like really important cards that you want in order to give the game that extra flair. No pun intended. I couldn't think of a better word. um, so the first one is Firewall. Firewall is an Infernus type a field event. There are two different types of events. There is field and there is strike. And the reason why that matters is because there are some creatures and abilities that are allowed to search certain events. And if I were to just say event instead of like what kind of event it is, you could pick like the most powerful one you have and just completely like not ruin it, but make plays that are just too crazy for the game, or too basically crazy for the game. Like if you can figure out ways to do things like in a strategic way, then you deserve it. But I don't want like absolutely everybody being able to do the same thing without some serious thought to it. All right. For its ability, Ally Infernus Strike gain 5 for each Ally Infernus in play. So for every fire creature you have on the board, every fire creature gains 5 for that. So this is really puts an emphasis on having lots of creatures on the field. Disruption. Disruption is something that is unique to the event cards. Whenever you can't perform any of the abilities of the card, so even if you can't perform just one of these abilities, disruption happens. And what it makes you do is discard one Infernus gear for each ally Infernus in play. So it 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 emphasizes you putting as many creatures as you can on the board, but in response to not being able to successfully play out the card, you have to discard a gear for each ally you have in play. So you either get stronger or you mess up and get weaker. It has another thing is that there are abilities that only activate during certain phases of the game. So the first one is during the set phase, guard gain 10 ally Infernus summon from the roster until the end phase. Until the end phase? I don't think I need to put that because once they're returned, it resets. So yeah, I think that's good. Guard gain 10 ally Infernus summoned from the roster. That's good. Strike phase. Ally Infernus strike damage becomes Infernus damage and Infernus damage 10. So any So any Infernus creature that you use to just strike with like their 40s, 30s, and 25 attack, that 25 strike damage becomes Infernus damage, and you add that Infernus damage to the extra 10 damage, so it becomes like 35, 40, and 45 and all that stuff. So that's why attribute Infernus damage, attribute damage, elemental damage, whatever you want to call it, it's super important to pay attention to that because you get that extra damage in play. Now, Volcanic Plains is an Infernus card that is an event, that is a field event. Um, it doesn't have a main ability, I guess you would call it, but it does have a disruption where you have to discard 2 Infernus cards from your hand. So basically, during the draw phase, draw 2 Infernus Talon from the deck. Non-Infernus Talon drawn by this card, by this ability, are shuffled back into the deck. Um, I don't really know if I don't think I made any cards that stops you from drawing. So this card, so I think I want to leave this card in just because it'll be good to have this and allow me to think of ways to stop it from happening. I can make new cards to stop this from happening, but for now, people will be able to just draw from the deck. And while there is a disruption, there's pretty much no downside. I might make like add a little something just so it's a little fair, but I mean it is a basic ability. You just draw 2 cards. There's not much else you can do with it. So I think it's pretty fair. Um, it- yeah, it is pretty fair because there are other cards that do way more resource advantage. Like this is just basic compared to what I've made for later cards of other decks. Um, Now we're going to get into Rising Heat. Rising Heat is also in Infernus. It is a strike event. Strike gain 5 ally Infernus for each ally Infernus in play, and the disruption is discard 1 Infernus gear for each person ally in play. I don't think that's supposed to be there. I might keep it there just in case because I think that's the same exact ability as yeah, it is. It's the same exact thing. I might change it because I didn't realize that was the same thing, but I might find something better, more better suited for this kind of card. But during the set phase, roster ally Infernus from the hand, meaning that you can put them in the roster face up instead of placing them face down, then having to wait a turn and then flipping them face up to summon them. So you pretty much skip an entire turn and can just straight up summon it. And there are a lot of cards. I think every deck has at least one of these cards, so it's pretty fair. Uh, During the strike phase, ally Infernus strike damage becomes Infernus damage and Infernus damage 10. Okay, so I did this so a lot of these cards have this ability because this deck is putting emphasis on doing some serious damage, burn damage, beat down, all that stuff. I wanted to accentuate that. And the last card is Inferno Force, which is an Infernus type thing. It is a strike event. Uh, Target and tap 1 ally Infernus until the end phase. Disruption, target strike and guard becomes 0. So if you can't pull this off, so if you can't pull off this card, your creature pretty much becomes defenseless, and anything can take it down. So you want to like think really. You want to come up with a really good strategy to make sure that you don't lose your best creature to this. During the set phase, strike gain 20 to the target, so you put an additional 20 on the target to what it already has, and this includes triggers and gear and generic gear. So like you can just boost this card up to like crazy heights in order to have it go off, which is why it has the ability it has, which is where it becomes 0. Because if you don't perform well, you either have the highest attack points or you have nothing. During the strike phase, uh, target strike. Did I already? Yeah, I did. Okay. During the strike phase, target strike cannot be blocked or negated by the abilities of other cards. Rivals in target strike cannot be blocked or negated by the abilities of other cards. So basically, if your opponent tries to defend against it, it can't. They can't, or they try to do anything to stop it, they can't. Um, there may be some way to stop it. I can't remember what it was called, but there may be one way to stop it. I guess that's if you were to try and get that. Yeah, if you were to somehow tap that target before he could pull this off, that I guess that'd be a way to stop it. I do have to refine this because I just realized there's some text in here that doesn't quite fit correctly, or I might be thinking because I know the rulings that that's how it works. So again, I'm gonna have to make a ruling video to show how some of these cards work so that you have a better understanding. Um, oh man, I'm about to hit 30 minutes again. I thought I was getting better at this. Uh, Rivals in range of the target ally. If they are 0 to 2, you automatically send them to the discard file. So this is your opponent's creatures. If they are 0 to 2 and in range of the target ally, so if your creature that it was selected to use this card has like 2 range, 3 range, um, those creatures within that range are down. Um, and then for rival size 3 to 5, they do an additional 10 Infernus damage each phase until the next end phase. So you're pretty much disrupting your opponent's more stronger creatures by lowering their power each phase to where they are not as damaging with their strike points, which will either force your opponent to withdraw them and reset their stats to their original stats and have to rework their strategy, or have it be played out until that creature is sent to the discard, or whatever. You're pretty much just messing up your opponent's play. And during the end phase, tap target until the next end phase, target strike, and guard becomes 5. So you still have the you still have to deal with making your creature become weaker because you just performed an incredible play, but it's not as bad as 0. You still have some points left over to fix to fix yourself up. And I don't see a way to reset it, so I think I want to do that. Yeah, I think I might need to include some text saying that how you can reset the creature's stats or whatever. But yeah, that's basically it for this. I do see some things I need to work on before I put it into playtesting. But other than that, these cards are pretty much ready to go for playtesting. And like I said before, I'm going to try and find a way to put this file onto my Discord, the Tamen TCG Discord. There will be a link in the description in order to get there, but there are also links in previous videos if you want to look at those. Um, is there anything else I really want to say? Because we're about to hit 30 minutes. I hope you found this enjoyable. I hope you found it a little entertaining or informative or whatever. There will be 4 more things I will have to do, and I will do those, day by day. I definitely can't do this in one day because my throat is killing me. Um, but I feel like I keep smacking, and I don't know if it's getting in there, but I'm sorry if it is. Um, but what I want to do is for this entire week is just put all those files out as videos and then try to get them into my Discord. And then after that, I'm going to talk about rulings within the next week, and then after that, that's when playtesting can start, because by that time you should anybody who wants to playtest should be familiarized with the cards, be familiarized with the rules. There will also be rules during the game so that you can look back towards them and just be reminded of things, but instead of just reading the entire thing, then have to reading the entire thing again every time you forget something. So yeah, uh, that's it for now. I'm gonna take a rest, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one, and hopefully my throat will be better.